I don't think I ever would have dared to predict in the summer of 2015 that by the summer of 2017, we'd have thousands of people showing up for races and be on broadcast in 75 countries with tens of millions of people tuning in.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 112. Have you been following the 2017 Drone Racing League and wondering who's going to win? Well, we're not going to divulge that or give any other spoilers in this episode, but we are going to hear from someone who will tell us why we should tune in. Nick Horbaczewski is the CEO of the Drone Racing League, the premier racing organization combining world-class pilots, iconic locations, and proprietary technology to create engaging drone racing content with mass appeal. The league was formed in 2015, finished its first successful season in 2016, and is back for what could be its breakout year. I interviewed Nick just before the start of the 2016 season, and so much has happened since then. Nick is here to break everything down for us, to talk about last year, what's new for this year, and how the lessons of the first 2 years are taking the league to the next level. Now, before we hear from Nick, don't forget to support the Drone Radio Show by donating via Patreon. Every little bit helps. Go to patreon.com/Drone Radio Show. Thanks for your support, and now let's learn about this year's exciting Drone Racing League. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Nick to introduce himself.
So my name is Nicholas Horbaczewski, and I'm the CEO and founder of the Drone Racing League.
Nick, it's been about a year since we last spoke. At that time, the league had just formed, and you were getting ready to air the first race. Can you give us a recap of what happened last year and where things stand as you begin this season?
I started working on DRL in the middle of 2015. And we really got the company going in the summer of 2015. So we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. And for the first year, we really focused on technology development. We were doing races, but we didn't even publicly announce what we were working on until the beginning of 2016. And we didn't put anything on TV until the end of 2016. So really, the first year plus of this company was about developing the technology and building the infrastructure on both the drone and radio side, as well as on the media side, to be able to produce world-class drone racing and to film it and distribute it for television. And the big milestones for us as a company have been the development and deployment of that technology and successfully executing races, and then signing our television distribution deals. So in 2016, we were on TV in over 40 countries, showing our race season. And then the airing of that season, which happened in the fall of 2016, which was a huge moment for us. It really put the league in front of tens of millions of viewers worldwide. And since then, we've really been going through the 2017 season, and 2017 season has been a huge evolution for us. We've brought on massive new partners, people like Allianz, the global insurance brand, Swatch, Amazon Prime Video, and others. And we've had a chance to do a new complete season. We've done races now in Germany and London, as well as the United States. And so it's been a real path of expanding what we're doing, improving the quality of the races and the technology, and continuing to reach out to new audiences.
You know, there's so much to talk about, but maybe we can start with having you tell us what worked well last year that you've been able to apply to the success of this season.
We focus on a lot of things here at DRL, and so we do a lot of things at once. But I think the underlying value for us is to produce world-class competitive sport and to find a way to share that with audiences around the world. And 2016 was an incredible learning process. We learned a lot about the technology we developed. We learned a lot about filming the racing, which is challenging given the size and speed of the drones. And we learned a lot about organizing a sports league and bringing partners into it, like sponsors and pilots and fans and broadcasters. So 2017 was really a chance for us to take all those learnings and apply it. And that's why we're so excited about this season. We made some major changes. So we introduced a new drone, the Racer 3, which is a faster, more high-performance drone than the rig we used in 2016, which was the Racer 2. And that has utterly changed the racing. And we've really dramatically improved the quality of the show, of our ability to capture the sport and show it. And then it's, once you've learned those lessons, you can really focus on expansion. And that's what's let us be able to do things like put on races overseas. We've done races with large live audiences. So we had a couple thousand people at our championship race in London just a few weeks ago, as well as expanding from 40 countries in broadcast to 75.
Let's talk about some of the things that are new. Now, I read that in this season, veterans are going up against amateurs.
Yeah. So in 2016, we faced a lot of challenges. One of them was there was a lot of amateur racing going on, but there wasn't like a farm league for drone racing. So it wasn't clear how we were going to bring in the pros and really see how they performed under serious race conditions. And so the 2016 season was a little bit amorphous. There was a series of events. It was sort of rolling admission. Pilots who did well got to stay on. Pilots who didn't do well left. And then at the end of a couple of races, we took the people with the best scores and took them to Detroit for the championship. 2017 is all new. It is a much more organized, much more like a traditional sports league. So the 2017 season is 6 races long. We had 16 pilots from the beginning. Those were the 16 pilots in the league. Some of those are returning pilots from last year. Some of them are new pilots this year. All 16 pilots got a chance to compete in 3 out of 4 of our regular season races, which are our first 4 races of the year. The top 12 went to Munich for the playoff, and the top 8 went to London for the championship, where we crowned the world champion this year. So it's much more organized. You have a fixed set of pilots as the 16 that we brought in, so you can get to know those pilots, you can understand more about them, and you can see, as you pointed out, we got some rookies that are really testing the veterans and really pushing them to up their game.
And there was also a competition that was based on a video game, where the winner actually got to do some live drone racing?
This was something really exciting we did for the first time this year. So we've built this drone racing simulator. It's a video game that you can download. It teaches you how to fly a racing drone and then lets you fly all the DRL tracks. It's got multiplayer, so you can play against your friends. And we held a US-wide tryout to find a pilot for one of those 16 slots in the league. And so we had an online competition with the video game. We had about 100,000 people download the game to try out. And then we had an online competition that had a leaderboard. We took the top 24 people off that leaderboard, and we held a real-life eSport event in New York City. So these were 24 pilots playing the game against each other in a series of competitions that looked just like our regular season racing, only it was happening in a video game. And the winner of that, who was a pilot named Jaws, got a contract to be one of the 16 pilots in the league. And in fact, he got a $75,000 contract. And, he went from a gamer to a pro drone pilot in just a couple of weeks' time over the course of the contest. And he's had a great season so far. Anyone who's watching on ESPN this season has seen him put in some really incredible performances. So we think it's a really exciting thing, and it's something that differentiates drone racing. And at DRL, we've always been focused on blurring the line between the digital and the real, and we think this is a really good example of that. And I think going into 2018, you're going to see us expand that program, give even more people around the chance to try out through the simulator.
Yeah, I thought that was such a great idea. So often drone racing is compared to eSports, and here's an example that it really turned out to be an eSport.
Yeah, we think it's fantastic. Esports is really popular right now. There's a lot of interest in it in both the commercial side and from an audience standpoint. And so to give people an authentic esport experience to drone racing. And what we love is this idea that, esports are great and they're really dedicated fans of them, but they sort of culminate with another game, with playing the game on a Jumbotron in the stadium someplace. And what we love about drone racing is Jaws won that competition, and the next thing he got to do is fly a real drone down a real hallway at 80 miles an hour in the pro league. So it really elevates it and brings together live sports and esports in a way that has frankly never been done.
You mentioned earlier the new redesigned Racer 3. Can you tell us about this year's racing drone?
The Racer 3 is the new drone that we introduced this year. It is a massive leap forward from the Racer 2. This has been designed in-house from the ground up. It's got a carbon fiber frame to be light and strong. It has a polycarbonate stealth-inspired shell on it, which not only improves the aesthetics of the drone, but also makes it much more durable, and it allows the drones to withstand light collisions or crashes and get back up. And you'll see that totally changes the racing this season, that if you crash, you're not necessarily down. A lot of pilots get back up. There's some amazing come-behind wins when people crash, get up, and push it really hard. So it's really changed it. And then the performance is just exceptional. I mean, you're talking about a drone that goes from 0 to 80 miles an hour in less than a second in the hands of the best pilots in the world. And we really put it through its paces with huge vertical elements in the course and really elaborate flying, and the pilots stepped up to that in a huge way. So it's very exciting. It's a giant leap forward for the sport. It's a giant leap forward for DRL, and it's a noticeable change from last season.
What's been the impact of the partnership with ESPN?
Our relationship with ESPN has been fantastic for us. Getting broadcast on ESPN did several things for us. One, it brought us a significant amount of legitimacy. You know, ESPN is the most powerful sports broadcaster in the U.S. We were broadcast on ESPN in all of North and South America, which put us in a lot of places. And I think more generally, we have other fantastic broadcasters around the world. We have people like Sky Sports in the UK and Italy. We have ProSieben in Germany. So we've got a lot of top-tier broadcasters in their respective markets. And I think collectively, the most incredible about last season to us is over 33 million people around the world tuned in to the 2016 DRL season, which for a brand new sport just launching is an incredible thing. And it shows the passion people have. And so it can be very hard to drive those kind of audiences to a new sport without powerful distribution partners like the ESPNs, the Sky Sports, and the ProSiebens.
Sure, and I also see that you've gotten some mainstream sponsors like Bud Light, ESPN, Swatch, just to name a few. I suspect that they see the Drone Racing League as an opportunity to expand their brand.
Absolutely. We have Bud Light, we have Allianz, we have Swatch, we have Nico Air, we have the U.S. Air Force. We have a lot of fantastic sponsors now, really incredible brands and incredible names. And I think it shows, you know, I think 2016 was very successful. I think people saw the quality of the sport, the seriousness with which we were taking it, and they got excited. And I think the movement of brands into this show, it's a great way to segregate the forward-thinking brands from not. And so we've been excited to work with brands that really see the future. They understand why fans love this. They understand the power of getting involved early with a new sport. And they're really partners to us. They're helping us spread the word about drone racing. And it's fantastic. And it's similar to the ESPN thing. It adds a tremendous amount of legitimacy to the sport, which is an important thing. We often feel some pressure at DRL to be the sort of standard bearer of the sport because we're putting it in front of tens of millions of people and ensuring that it is treated legitimately as a sport and that we have great partners involved is part of that process.
Going back to when you mentioned being looked at as the front runner, do you feel some extra pressure to deliver on those expectations?
Absolutely. You know, drone racing is an amazing sport, and there is an incredible global community of people that do amateur racing all over the world. There have been a couple other attempts besides DRL to do elaborate pro-level racing, and they have met with some pretty bad outcomes. And I think that as a new sport, you only get so many chances to put this in front of an audience or in front of brands that can help support it and have a disappointing outcome before people can lose faith in the sport as a whole. And so we want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And so we've worked very hard to ensure that what we put out is very high quality from the very beginning and is worthy of working with these brands, because I think it's a very dangerous thing with a new sport. Events that don't go well are a setback to the entire sport, not just to the organizers of that event.
And for this upcoming season, what might we see that will differentiate it from last year in terms of the production or the way it's organized?
The Racer 3 totally changes the racing. It's so much faster. The courses are much bigger. They're much more vertical. So there's a lot of verticality to what we're doing, and you see the drones diving and racing aggressively in a lot of different settings. You know, we go all over the world. So we have our race in Germany and our race in the UK, which put us in very different settings in front of different audiences. So it gives a nice global flavor to the circuit because the sport of drone racing is global. We have pilots from all over the world. So you can see us taking it to new places that we've never been before. It's also nice, I think, just the organized nature of this season with the regular season and the playoffs and the championship gives a very clear sense of the stakes as the pilots move through, which is something important for the audience to follow and get invested. We've also really doubled down on finding a way to talk about the pilots that are in the league. You'll see a lot of background information on them. You'll really get a chance to get to know them, how they fly, why they fly, what motivates them, what their life is like outside the league. And we think that's important for the audience to understand who they're watching and why these competitions matter so much to them.
The schedule shows races in Miami, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Boston. Then it goes to Munich for the playoffs, with the finals happening in London. Around the world, can you describe the response you're getting from people?
Oh, yeah, it's tremendous. We post-produce our shows, so we actually film the races and then we release them a little bit later on TV. And so the London Championship actually already happened. And to have thousands of people turn up wearing T-shirts and cheering is just incredible. And to feel that we've built that kind of fan presence in less than a year. Jet, who was the 2016 world champion, talks about people stopping him in the airport and asking him for autographs and how much that has changed his life. And those little moments really cement the feeling that we're building a new sport here and that audiences are finding and getting excited about it. The first time I was traveling with a pilot and someone stopped him and asked for his autograph, it was an incredible moment. I guess I knew somewhere in the back of my mind that would happen one day, but to actually watch it happening is incredible. There are people who are watching this sport, getting highly invested in it, cheering for certain pilots, getting excited to meet them when the chance comes up. So that is the birth of a new spectator sport.
How does today's success compare to what you hoped it would be?
It's a challenging question. I think that when I started working on DRL, I was such a passionate fan of the sport and such a believer in what it could be that I always saw it becoming something big. I don't think I ever would have dared to predict in the summer of 2015 that by the summer of 2017, we'd have thousands of people showing up for races and be on broadcast in 75 countries with tens of millions of people tuning in. The hope was you get there somewhere. So I think we've always seen the potential in the sport. I think it's just happened much faster than we thought it would, as fans have really sought this out and embraced this as something exciting to watch. So, and we just see the trajectory going up from here. We see so much potential to do more races, do them in more places around the world, get more pilots involved, and continue to show this sport. As much success as we have had in a short period of time, the reality is that the vast, vast, vast majority of the population around the world has never seen drone racing or heard of DRL. So we still have the task ahead of us of familiarizing people with the sport, giving them an opportunity to watch it, and letting them become fans of what we're doing.
Who are some of the people or the organizations that have helped in creating this success?
We have only come this far this fast because it's an incredible team at DRL. Not only internally, we have people like Ryan Gurry, who's our director of product, and I call Ryan the Leonardo da Vinci of drones. I mean, he is just unbelievably talented. All the amazing technical advances we've had have sort of sprung from his head, and he has been integral in designing the sport and the brand and the technology. People like Tony Budding, who does all our media, has produced hundreds of hours of live TV, but really to put something like drone racing on TV takes an absolutely unique skill set and a vision. It's just incredible. And a lot of what you see on TV is really the byproduct of how Tony sees the sport. People like Ashley Ellison, who runs our operations. You can't have a great sport if your events don't go very smoothly. And then, of course, Ben Johnson, who runs all our business development, has done all of our TV distribution deals and has really gone out and been the person advocating for this sport around the globe and getting people comfortable with the idea that this could be a success on sports TV. And then, that's our team. But more broadly than that, we can't do it without our investors, without our partners. People like Allianz coming in and putting their name on a sport like this so early. All of our investors, ranging from MGM and Sky Sports to CAA, the sports and talent agency, people like Steve Ross. I would take up the rest of your podcast, honestly, if I listed everybody who's involved, right down to our newest partners, people like Liberty Media, which owns Formula One, but is taking a stake in DRL, which is a huge benefit to us, and the WWE, which, is just an incredible company and brand and has done more with sort of combining sports entertainment and digital and linear distribution than anyone else out there. So We have a lot to learn from them. And it's bringing all those people together and getting all of their input and having them all shape this project that has made it a success to date.
Yeah, well, the output of the product reflects the quality of the team. I think it's really going to be amazing.
I feel very fortunate every day because a piece of it is that drone racing is a very exciting thing. And that DRL, from the beginning, we made the commitment to do this right. We knew it would take significant investment in technology. We knew it would take significant investment in novel media techniques. We knew we had to present the sport to the world in a way that they could understand it, that it was exciting to watch, that was authentic to the underground sport that had developed for the 5 years before that, which is a lot of things to balance, a lot of challenges. But I think that dedication has been key to putting something on television that people can really get immersed in.
This podcast will air a couple of weeks into the 2017 season. Is there anything you can tell us about the second half of the season that we should be looking for?
Absolutely. I think the second half of the 2017 DRL season is so exciting. You just see the pressure ratcheting up. The course is getting more elaborate. We go over to Munich and then to London. And I think if any of your listeners are out there who are thinking about tuning into this sport, what I'd recommend is we air the complete London Championship, which is the best 8 pilots from the season battling out. It's a winner-take-all event. It's from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on ESPN here in the U.S. on East Coast time, and that's on Friday, July 28th. So July 28th, 9 to 11, tune in, see the best 8 pilots in the world battle it out. The quality of that flying and the fierceness of the competition, it is so close, it is so tight, and it shows the mastery of these pilots as well as their ability to handle the pressure. You'll see the crowds. It's our biggest course ever. We've got some really exciting elements in that course. We forced pilots to fly in ways they've never flown before. And I think it's going to be a great event. And as excited as I've been about all of our races this season, that is the one that I think is sort of a defining point for the sport in terms of the quality of the racing and the excitement of it.
That sounds great, Nick. Now, looking down the road, can you give us any insights into where you think the league is headed?
We continue to push on our path. We've got a lot to do. We continue to expand the number of races, the geographies we're racing in. We continue to expand the number of places that our content is being distributed, which is important to find and grow new fans. We continue to evolve the technology. We're certainly going to be expanding the video game tournament to allow more people in more countries around the world to try out. We had such tremendous feedback from that. We've got a whole new version of the video game that's launched. It's on the Steam platform, and it's called DRL High Voltage. And it very much takes you from I've never flown a drone before to competing with a racing drone. And that progression, I think, is important to help people get into the sport, to learn to fly. We've also got a drone coming out this August. So we're in a partnership with Nico Air, which is launching a drone line. We're very excited about that product. It is the perfect drone for someone who says, I love drone racing, but I've never tried it. I want to get into the sport. It's a fantastic piece of equipment that contains a lot of technological innovations, and that will be on the shelves of mass market retailers around the world starting in August. So we've got a lot on our plate, and we continue to expand. Our mission is to bring this sport to people around the world and get them excited about it, and to make sure that our racing is happening at the very highest level that possible.
I envy you guys, Nick. You're building a new sport and having a great time.
It's really fun. I got to admit, we have fun every day. In the beginning, it's fun, but you're sort of working in silence. And now we get a lot of direct feedback when the show's on TV, and we're seeing great comments from people and great audience numbers. So we get the reinforcement on it now. But yeah, we're lucky. We have a really fun job.
That's it for episode 112 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed listening to Nicholas Horbaczewski of the Drone Racing League and learning about the 2017 season. I want to thank Nick for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about the Drone Racing League or want to connect with Nick, check out the website at thedroneracingleague.com. Remember, you can catch the races on ESPN too. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1 per month, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to patreon.com/Drone Radio Show. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.